that I was leading class today. But I'm
Oh
sure we can
no.
get through it. Yeah. Here, let me just pick it up. Let me just pick the text up. Um, yeah, for some reason, I just didn't see the schedule. Uh, all right. So let's see. Where do we stop here? Is that big enough for you guys?
Maybe.
I think we stopped with 475.
Yeah, I'm about to search. I've got this spinning rainbow now.
Oh, I see. We can't see your spinning rainbow.
Good. Keep that. Only in private does my rainbow spin. All right. So 473?
um,
Yeah.
475.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize. It's a little bit, but I don't see why this should pose too much of an issue. We should be able to still kind of pick our way through this. Uh, although, yeah, I haven't been surfing, but
Apparently, it doesn't help that much.
yeah. So I have a private spinning rainbow issue going on here again. Give me just 1 second. Let me get my. There we go. This isn't even my latest document. Well, here, but we'll save some time and we'll just go from here. I just pulled up the first one that kind of came up. Okay, well, we'll go from 475. My cursor's still in an utter. My computer's kind of going a little slow for some reason right now. It would make perfect sense as to why that would happen just right now. Let me close a couple of things and then that should save us some more processor intensive stuff. I'll close Zoom. I think closing Zoom would probably help.
Wait.
Okay, so 475.
If it does fix, you could blow it up a little bit more when you eventually get that ability.
Yeah, let's do it.
A little small, maybe.
475 and 160, 170. Let's go to 2. We'll
Hubba.
there. Look at that. That's looking good, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. So do we have let's see. Should I choose a victim at random here?
Sure.
Gibson. I love hearing you read, sir. Would you help us?
Hey, Alan. Yes, Tena 20 ranking ngô chích chế sâu thang đế thiền ngũ bố thông hòa ý chế sâu kỳ thư ni chư thế thang trực tế ye mê kỳ dễ chi na chư tế thông về nguyên xuân kỳ thông về kẹp chế bà chế bề thư ni nộ.
All right, thank you. So, the Dana here, therefore, Dungirangi ngo chik. And then the chepe. So I took the chepe done here, and that's why I have this. What is meant by the lines such as these? So the meaning of its own singular essence. Let's see. Is anything standing out to you guys? The chase oak here. Lines such as these. There we are. We've got 2 different quotations. So sorry.
What were the lines? What just happened?
Let's see. Let's look. He's just referencing Master Dharmakirti. So we have him down here. He didn't say anything above, but this is what we were going to lead into in our next class with Geshe. But we're going to try to hit it here.
Okay.
And we were having some sort of a, I don't know, was it a debate exactly, or at least some distinctions between mind-only school and the sutras
Yeah, I
with
mean,
regard to
we kind of, we dove off into the deep end, and Zaychik led us into a discussion of Nampa and aspect, which was then kind of blurring the lines between Sautrantika and Yogacara. And then that brought in Rangrik and Shinrik. So I think, I mean, we could go back and like kind of catch up for context, but dude, what's going on with my computer? Obviously, like as soon as I have a class that I wasn't super prepared for, and now my cursor's just spinning. So sorry, give me 1 second. Adobe, shut down Adobe. Acrobat's always gonna, you have a lot of documents open in there. All right. Yeah. Okay, so if you disagree here, well, I mean, we could go back like one just to figure out kind of what we're leading into. So if you disagree here, then you must be saying that self-perception isn't direct. If you disagree with saying that self-perception and the perception of something other than self are a single thing.
Okay. And it seems then like the quote, like 475, it seems like Geshe Michael needed the Pramana Vartika section that came after it for clarification. So
yeah, I mean, he could also just be throwing that in for, I mean, yeah, totally. I wouldn't doubt that, but I also probably supplementing for a footnote too. Although, he does say like to never try to understand Master Dharmakirti without Geshe Wangchu. So
yeah, to understand the lines. Yeah, but it seems like if it was just a footnote, he would have just given you the quotation in the Vartika. But it looks like because he went and grabbed Geshe Wangchu, he
I see what you're
seems to have
saying.
been offering clarification.
I see what
about
you're
Yeah,
what
we
the line
started
meant.
translating in there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So let's see. Therefore, what is meant by the line, such as the meaning of its own singular essence, which the Sarangi Ngochik is the first time this has come up in a while. So Deichir Ngupo Tongwa Yi, and for this reason, working thing is seen. So what we've been talking about so far is Zaychik, right? So once again, if you see something, do you see its qualities as well? And then that brought into question, that brought up two different terms which were opposing. One was what was it? It was Drupjuk and Seljuk, right? So the idea of engaging an object as a whole and the idea of engaging an object through an eliminative process, right? So once again, we're looking at so if you think about Drupjuk, which is engaging an object as a whole, that necessarily means that you're engaging the object in all of its qualities simultaneously, right? Which is another way of saying like it's another way of saying that something is drupjuk, or excuse me, it's zechik, right? So if something is zechik, then you perceive all of its qualities at the same time, which is the same thing as saying that you engage it totally or as a whole, right? Now, I thought it was kind of interesting, just as a side note, because I've been talking with some people and just kind of going through what it means to belong to ultimate reality in the school. And we got to this point where we were saying that ultimate reality means that something is irreducible, that it's a singular object, right? And but how do you perceive something like a coffee cup? How do you perceive something like a bumpa, like a coffee cup, if you're not perceiving the individual atoms that make it up? Because we can all agree that we don't perceive the atoms of any given object, but we perceive the assimilation or the congruent, the conglomerate. You perceive all of the atoms as they're taken together as a whole to be like a coffee cup, right? And so, just as a side note, it led me into thinking that you have to be perceiving the individual atoms, right?
Mhm.
Because you're perceiving it in a complete way, right? Like to perceive drupjuk, to perceive any given object means that you perceive all of its qualities. Then you must be perceiving all of its components, right? Which also means that that's why I'm saying this, because I think this is why J brought up the difference between perceiving something and ascertaining it, right? So you can perceive something. I perceive a coffee cup. However, I don't ascertain all of its individual atoms necessarily. But what we have been saying so far is that we perceive a coffee cup. However, we don't perceive its quality of being a changing thing. However, what I'm proposing is that those two things are they're the same. They would be of the same nature qualitatively.
Parallel logic, sort of.
Yeah, totally. So to perceive a coffee cup is to perceive the changing nature of the coffee cup, but to perceive the coffee cup is also to perceive the individual atoms that make up the coffee cup.
Whether or not you can recognize them.
However, you don't recognize those things individually. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is kind of why the working thing here, that was a little context for this. So, and for this reason, working thing is seen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So is that if something is such that to be it is to be inseparable and substantially co-occurring with another, then seeing that thing invariably means seeing it directly. So I thought it was interesting because it looks like we're getting a definition of what it means to be zechig, to be inseparable and substantially co-occurring.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard to say here if this is better phrased as working thing or a working thing.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of why I was pointing that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because working thing for some reason felt like right at the moment.
Right. We can't tell yet for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I'm hoping that we're about to get some clarity about that.
Now, if some of this stuff doesn't really stand out, we can go through the individual parts of the Tibetan. We left off right here, so we're about to slow down considerably, I think, as we hit this next part.
That's okay. This is great. I think this is probably the best place to look.
Yeah.
And for some reason, your microphone is not picking up your voice very well. Could you look in to see if it's turned off or something?
Okay.
So we're going to need somebody, let's see, to read. Here, I'll just go through it real quick. Dungi rangi ngowo chik. Dak ni ngonso yimpala. Tema nam ki tak cha kang. Ma tong cha. Shin Chi Shik Ye. Chepa de Jok Tok Tok Juk Juk Yina. Zhan Zin Yin She Ki Jai Che Kun Tongwa. Shindu Tei Chang Pei She Kyang Jai Che Kun Nge Ge Pei Jai Mi Tap So Tok Pei Tema Nam Dun Me Parnguro. Me Parnguro. Yeah, so I'm gonna need some help. Definitely gonna need some help. I don't have my newest document opened up, and I'm a little concerned that if I try to pull it up, my computer's gonna wig out again. So this Dungi Rangi Ngo check, it's kind of the same thing as up here. So
Yeah, these are the
meaning
words
of
in question.
yeah. So what does it mean to be of a singular essence? And then Chepa te dratok jupayina. So if something engages something, so if let's see, to say that the conceiving sound is if something conceives, let's see, how would you phrase this? The conception of sound.
If something is the perception of sound, right?
Yeah.
Something is clear, the perception of sound.
Yeah. The chepa te though.
Oh, that's not just saying this from this quote, like what we're talking about.
This is, oh yeah, that's right, because this is Geshe Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just commenting on this line. So he's just saying what this line is saying is that if something is a perception of sound.
No, for some reason I keep forgetting that we're looking at Geshe Michael and not Master Dharmakirti.
Totally.
So I was wondering why he was like chepa. So Zhanzin Yin She Ki Jai Che Kung Tongwa. So do you see every aspect of sound? Does the auditory consciousness, so does the sound which is the auditory consciousness which holds sound perceive every aspect of sound? Right. And
what's every aspect here?
Chukun.
Do you think it's important, Adam, that he's using Tongwa? Like he's saying, does the auditory consciousness see?
Look, Geshe was, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is there's a clear look, okay, when you're talking about the auditory consciousness and seeing something, right? So tong as experiencing or tong as seeing. So when you're talking about seeing the auditory consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Does it see? So I mean, I guess it's just, another way of kind of saying perceive. However, Geshe did really point that out the last time, and that's why I have seeing here.
Okay.
Experiencing or perceive or yeah, but I mean, look, I think this is really interesting because what you're talking about now is that okay, so we've been talking about perceiving qualities. So can the different sense spheres perceive objects in their totality? Right? So does the smell of a croissant perceive it's like the impermanence of the croissant? Right?
Hard to imagine.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying though? Like,
yes.
And I really think
sense.
that's why Tongwa kind of jumped in here, because there is this kind of ephemeral nature to sound that like we learn, right? And you guys will have to help me on this, but if I remember correctly, they're the building blocks, right? So from the Vaibhashika standpoint, there's 4 rudimentary kind of elements. The Jungur Shipo, right? Chipa, the
Jungwa Shi.
yeah, Jungwa Shi, but they call it Shi Chimpo sometimes, like the 4 great. And you have the other the other 5 sense consciousnesses along with those. However, sound is usually left out, right? Yeah. So right, like I'm trying to remember that. So sound is kind of not needed, or
Yeah, they said it's ephemeral or something. It's too subtle or something like that.
Yeah,
it's too subtle.
That's it. Like, yeah. So, I mean, subtle, ephemeral, I think, yeah, there's kind of this nature here when we're talking about sound in particular, and we're talking about the building blocks of reality. I think that's one of the reasons we're starting to jump into the different sense spheres, because to talk about sound can get a little, you can get a little caught up, I think. There's a lot to discuss there, I think. So, well, like, does the auditory consciousness pick up the color red? No, it doesn't, right? But it can perceive the impermanence of an object. Right? I mean, that's kind of why I'm up on it a little bit. It's a good point.
If you perceive the totality of an object, which I don't know if that makes sense. I don't see that you can directly perceive an object in its totality, because then you would have this problem
of perceiving the back of the cup that you can't see.
Of perceiving the back of the cup, right? Or your nose perceiving its color.
Yeah.
Or right, your eye perceiving the back of the cup.
Yeah, I mean, these are, I think, I don't know the answer, but it's fun to think about.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, that seems, it does. It seemed to contradict the possibility that direct perception could see a thing in its totality. Yeah,
and I think this is one of the reasons we're playing. Right. Obviously, you can find some of these contradictions when you start to root out the second school's views, right? There seem to be some contradictions at some points, and it would make sense that they're coming up right now as we're touching on Yogacara views, right? So there may be some solution that's provided. Yeah, I mean, let's keep plugging through this.
Yeah, so again, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Let's see. So we're right here.
Oh my.
Song with Shindu. Yeah, so this Tong with Shindu should be together, and the stage on Pei Shikandri Chukun Nikape Trying Top So Tope. Okay. Yeah, so the Nam comes in here again. Yeah, and once again, the last time we were here, I was hoping Word could help us out when Nam came up. Because I think there's some unique aspects that he's probably dealt with a lot in his text. But I'm all ears.
Oh, this is not, I mean, Nam with the sa should just mean plural.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
So we don't have to stress about it. We're just talking about multiple accurate
those
perceptions in this
accurate
case.
Perceptions.
Fortunately. Don't leave or anything, Word, but
yeah.
we're not gonna squander your expertise that way just yet.
What was it? Oh, the Trong. I was yeah, I did some research. If I remember correctly, like I said, this is one of my old documents. So I did some research on the Zhang, and I saw that it could actually refer to subsequent, like cognition, like subsequent kind of perceptions. So you see an object, and we were talking about how in order to be earlier in this text, it came up that in order for something to be considered an accurate perception, it has to be malua, right? And what does milua mean? Right. And then Zhang was giving me problems here and I couldn't figure out exactly why. So I kind of dug into it. But why would you ever need a separate perception? So maybe, yeah, maybe you guys can give me a little help there too.
Which word are you referring? Oh, Trong, Te Trongpa?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Like to
think how,
pull or, right? I mean, if I remember
yeah,
correctly. Yeah.
literally
Like,
to pull and more figuratively to interpret or something like that.
yeah.
Right, could it be deduce?
Mm.
Yeah. So once again, so is this nge here? This nge has got to be ascertain, right? So do subsequent awarenesses
Mm.
and ascertain all aspects of sound.
Oh,
Mm.
subsequent. Oh, Geshe.
Is the subsequent supposed to be indirect at that point? Is it supposed to be?
That's yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
sorry,
kind of
where's subsequent here? I'm sorry.
I'm
The
using
Trong-
I'm using for Trong. Yeah, because it was
Oh.
giving me problems, and I remember spending like a while on it, going through a few different.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's it could be. I don't know Tron as much as
Yeah.
you had studied it, but I just it means interpreted instead of direct.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
like
because
that's
this
my,
is-
Paula
that's
was
my
saying.
vibe. Hmm.
Like yeah,
This
like
is the
like
interpretation. And especially because the Ngeshe here is set up in opposition to the Nyenshe. So you have the state of mind that, or the awareness that hears, as opposed to the awareness that recognizes or something.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the nge came in, so it would go
Yeah.
along with the Trong.
Right. That's right. Yep.
Well,
Yeah. Okay.
so
So
we have an accurate perception that let's see. Okay, well then what about the Dunmei down here then? Dunmei parkiro.
Meaningless.
yeah. I mean,
So
It's literally
then
meaning.
oh
Becomes meaningless. So something becomes meaningless.
totally. Accurate perceptions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's realize
Meaning-
things
is it
like
meaningless?
impermanence and stuff become meaningless
Yeah.
or pointless.
Okay, well then that would mean that
Well, or is it that they no longer, that perception no longer has an object?
right. That could easily be. And
Yeah.
yeah, so this Zhongbing Nieshe, the whatever the I don't know, like understanding or something, the drawing out of the state of mind that understands things,
mhm.
right? Are we I don't know, are we Gupa like having to say that it Nge understands Chukung, like every quality of sound, that state of mind that understands it? If like draw me takpa, right? Sound being a changing thing or
Mhm.
something like that. Um, and is that in opposition to the hearing state? When you recognize that a thing is sound, then are you recognizing all of its qualities? Right, and this is what's in opposition, right? Chukung Tonghua versus Chukung Nge.
Yeah.
Well, and then also isn't then nge being opposed to the tok? Tok paid sema.
Well, in this case, I think that it's more what you said before, Paula, that the Ngepa I think it's saying if you can ask, I think the meaning the same thing in a way. If you're necessarily ascertaining all objects when you perceive sound, then what would be the point of having a separate perception that realizes impermanence of sound?
Right.
Like it's
That's
totally
right, Nick.
unnecessary.
Uh-huh.
So I think the Ngepa is like meaning the thing that ascertains all of those objects.
Okay.
And Poke is like the realization. Like you don't even need a realization.
And it's nice then because Dunmepa kind of splits the difference between objectless and meaningless to be pointless, which
Yeah,
kind of means
yeah, that's
right?
what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it says here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It would be pointless then for there to be accurate perceptions that realize, right, that come to understand things like the changing nature of sound, right? Sound being a changing thing. If they are
It's already,
realized
yeah, if you're already
already.
ascertaining it just by perceiving it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's definitely in the discussion. However, it's talking about ascertaining all of the qualities and not necessarily perceiving all of the qualities.
I wonder, yeah, we haven't gotten clear yet on exactly what the difference is, but here it almost seems like
Ascertaining would be like, okay, well, taking the fact that sound is taking
right.
that into an analytical meditation and then perceiving that with your eyes closed, right? Independent of an auditory perception, right? So on the meditation cushion, you're looking at a singular aspect of sound, not necessarily any particular sound, but just sound in general. And then you're weeding out, right, its different qualities through meditation, right, in order to kind of generate tokpa,
Yes.
right, and understanding about each one of these things.
Correct
So
understanding.
perceiving, like listening, going to a concert
Yeah.
and listening to a song, right, is one thing. They say that you perceive the impermanence of sound, the changing nature of sound, but it's not ascertained. And I think why I'm saying is that I totally agree with you guys. But here in particular, this is the first time that this has come up, that all aspects are ascertained.
Mm-hmm.
And
like what note is being played and for how long and like all that.
He talks about it like with Vitarka and Vicharka. Yeah. So,
Got it. Talking Vichara.
Yeah.
Yeah, would we say Tokpa with a sa here and Ngepa are equivalent? These two terms, if you realize something or know something, do you recognize it or ascertain it necessarily and vice versa? That would be my temptation.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Right.
But dude, this is super fun. I'm sorry. I wish I was a little bit more loose and like that I had been kind of like I kind of moved ahead away. So it's been a little while since I've looked at this section, but
That's great.
No, man. Okay. So, but Geshe-la's got this down here, obviously, with his note. Why would you ever need a separate? I need to slow down for the translators. Why would you ever need a separate perception that confirmed that sound was changing?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
think
see if we
If you
look
ascertain
above.
all aspects, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't want to step on your words, but if you ascertained all aspects of any given direct perception of any object of direct perception, then why would you ever need a separate perception to kind of identify its qualities?
Sounds good. So can we go up and look at that previous paragraph now and see if that, yeah, what's meant by these lines? Yeah.
That was kind of the two lines that we were looking at here.
Hmm. Yeah.
So inseparable and substantially co-occurring. I think the argument here is that if something is inseparable, hold on. I think the argument that we're arguing against that is if something is inseparable and substantially co-occurring with anything else, like sound and its changing nature, right, are inseparable and substantially co-occurring, that then when you perceive it, that doesn't necessarily mean that you perceive that you what was it, chukung right?
Mm-hmm.
So just because something's substantially and co-occurring doesn't mean that you perceive that you ascertain, excuse me, all of its characteristics, right? And because of the dunmei down here, the dunmei par gyoro. So then if it was the case that you perceived, if it was the case that you ascertained all qualities of any object of direct perception, then that would, why would you need why would you need any further accurate perceptions about that object? Like if it could all happen in a single instant, then
Yeah, why would you ever have to have a direct perception of emptiness? Because you've already ascertained it.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Great example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. A pot is already empty. So every time you look at a pot, if you see all of its
That's it.
qualities, then you've already seen its emptiness. And by the way, directly. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
meditate?
I mean, that kind of makes, and it kind of makes sense, right? I still
Yeah.
don't know this. I mean, the seeing does seem like it's being singled out for some reason to stress some aspect of all of this.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
You guys want to move on a little bit further? Here, let's go down. Yeah, so we kind of went through some of this stuff here already. Accurate, you can totally, okay. All right, here, I'm gonna just take this out because that's just gonna confuse us, I think. Let's have somebody else read. Who's available? Gibson or Oscar? I saw Oscar.
Hi.
Hi, sir. We're at 476.
Day 2. Kepar Chashe. Nampangwa. Nampamba. Unsung yini sung palang shetang.
All right. Therefore, okay, so the chashe here is obviously parts. Okay, part like I don't want to use aspect, but the characteristics, the qualities. I mean, you could even go there with Kapar. And then here's the nam again without that sa.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is.
So this is, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to make it horribly like I'm probably trying to make it a lot harder than it actually is. But anybody have any ideas about how this this verse was going to go here?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, what Pangba, right? We're, if that's true, right? Um, or since that's true, right? Uh, um, right, Deichir? Pangba to what? What are we getting rid of here? We're eliminating the part that is a Nampa, the special part that is the Nampa, the aspect or the what, the picture in your mind of the thing out there.
Yeah, I mean, to get rid of, to abandon.
Seems like he's saying we can not even worry about distinguishing these between these parts because it's all ascertained within that direct perception. It's all ascertained directly. Like why we don't even have to think about these different aspects that you might perceive with different kinds of realizations.
Mhm.
Let me think about that for a second.
Okay. Kiepak Chashe is distinguishing these different parts, meaning the different aspects. I mean, I'll let you think about it. Sorry, I just wanted to
No,
explain.
totally. Yeah.
Nam, these different aspects. Pangpa, don't dispense with considering these different aspects. Ngunsumgi by direct perception. Sungpa, you get it, you grasp it all.
Right. Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, we probably have commentary to this as well because this is also this is the root text. This is
This is
the
quoting root
larger
text, right?
section.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, Shay. So it says
Right.
that.
It does, and this is pithy, so we should be careful trying to understand obviously these lines without hopefully there's some Geshe Wanshu just below what we see on the screen.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, there it is. Okay. Which probably is what we need.
Let's see, is anything highlighted? Let's see if we can find it.
Yes, and there's
You go.
Chashe Pang.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Chashe Nampak Pang.
The beginning of it's further up.
Mm.
In
You
my
found that
copy.
it was bolded.
Oh, it was the larger,
I think that was it.
hold on, are we looking at the same one? Are we looking Pramanavartika Karika?
Like I said, this was when I control clicked on my Word, I just pulled up the first document that I had.
Okay,
So
this is what was in the latest version.
okay. Yeah. I apologize. Yeah, I was a little on the spot. I
Of
totally
course you were.
sorry about that.
It's no, it's good.
We got it.
Good of you to
We
step
got
up.
it.
Yeah.
Where this is large.
Mm.
Oh dude, and now
Okay, great, good. That's what should be large. That's the root text, the section that is being referred to.
what was
So
it? There was
that's-
a
Oh.
cape. There was a cape bar in there. Is it?
Yep,
There it is. Yes.
Chashe Nam.
Kepar Chashe Nam Pang Pa.
okay, so what he did, he just found it two places in two different texts. So then he goes down to what you're showing on your screen, which is
Okay.
Geshe Wangshu. Yeah. Sorry.
My freaking. I haven't had.
Where he just talks about Chashe Nampang. No more commentary after this.
Okay.
Yikes.
Okay, so could go the direct perception which holds sound Drupte, so they're inseparable, and Drupte I've been using co-occurring, but
I hate to say, but you may want to go up a little more. You see how he made a note about perceived by elimination, which means that
oh totally, yeah, well that's that
somehow
sound
it was worth it to him to gloss that part.
yeah, let's there's
Sound good.
yeah, it looks like that's kind of where his at least his notes start.
Yeah, and there's a Ke Parchache up there. Yeah,
how did I miss that?
almost
How did I?
a little bit higher. There
There
it
it
is,
is.
Ke Parchache.
Uh,
Nabapang. Nusumgini. Suglam.
okay, so these lines.
Okay. Yes, these lines here.
The spelling of Sung is different.
It is stressing me out a little bit, if I'm honest. Yeah. I don't know that.
Xuanzang and the Sung.
No,
That
up
that's
in the text it says that. Oops, hold on. I got
text.
the wrong keyboard. Sung. And then down in the code it says Sung. Oh, sorry. It says
Oh, wow.
this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's an easy enough boo-boo at least.
Well, I was trying to look up the one with the sa, and I was like having troubles with Sung Pa. That wasn't showing up anywhere, nor was Sung Wa. So it was helpful to me to know it doesn't have a sa at the end.
So what? Distinguish the perception that seeing if anything stands out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so Shinde Ganglala, sure. Oh, because it's a dokpa.
Yeah.
The Dradang de Chunon, the sound, right? What with its qualities, Zetamide Pate, right? Yeah, Chiksung, right? To grasp those.
There's that kun again.
Yeah, all of them all together. Kunsung Yang.
Cool. So the yeah. Well, there's I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna bring the subsequent discussion back into it for Zhang.
Is this true? Oh, it's Trul Gyu.
I don't know if they go together. I don't remember seeing like an idiom or anything.
I don't know
Without the sa, it's can be a cause for a mistaken perception. If the gyu doesn't have a sa at the end.
Yeah, we got to remember that this all runs down.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. And I would like Minuba more than I would like Manuba. I don't know if that's a possible boo-boo there, right? But certainly a delusion should not be able to be a cause for recognition for a ngepa for ascertaining something.
Well, a delusion would not. Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at the previous delusion.
Yeah, totally. And I think they run together here.
Right, Minuba, it shouldn't be able to do, right. And since it shouldn't be able to do that, then that delusion, what is a dokpa is a conceptual
It's a distinguisher.
Perception.
Yeah. So the idea of Dokpa in the second school is the opposite, right? So it's the opposite of everything that's not.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So if you got a pin, then that's kind of why my eye jumped to it, because it kind of sticks out. I didn't quite know how it was playing into whether or not, oh, well, you know what? It may make sense because Dharmakirti argues against the idea that conceptions are real, that universals are real. So it would be mistaken in the sense that to be a dokpa is to belong to the conceptual world, right? Which would then lead to further the subsequent here, this yang, and the causing more incorrect or mistaken perceptions.
Well, it's very concerning, really, because if we've decided that we can't see all the things' qualities through direct perception, and then instead we need some sort of indirect perception, some other kind of perception, would be tempting to say a dokpa, right? Like a process of elimination in
Yeah,
order
well, this is
to come to certainty about a thing. But this seems to be saying that delusion cannot.
okay. Well, I'm gonna argue that Soundjuk, Soundjuk creates dokpas,
Mhm. Yes, it does.
right?
Argument accepted.
So, I think once again, where we're really button heads here is with the idea that in this school, and let's say Master Dharma Kirti, that once again, Chitsens are not necessarily, they're not real.
Right. We don't accept that cheats heads
Yeah,
are real.
so, and they would be mistaken, and I think there's a lot of argument for this because it goes back to whether or not even language can refer to objects in a correct way. How conceptual your idea of things is just an approximation of your sense perceptions. It's not actually the real thing, right? Your mental image of a coffee cup is just that. It's a representation of sense data, which is what makes it mistaken, which is what makes it tropa.
And this is all a kachik, right? Obviously before Shena. I, I think, right? Like if one were to say.
Well, I mean, this is root. This is.
It is, right, but I think it's being that is root up to cure, right? And then shetsik chets
Oh
chi,
yeah,
right? Like these right? These 4 lines. Right.
Oh, you know what? I am going to have to bring in the subsequent argument that I had for using subsequent for Trong earlier because of the ngama here.
Ngama, yeah, right. Yeah.
So one of the things that K-Drip J apparently, so something that I've been really finding out as I've spent more time trying to make sense of this stuff is that K-Drip there that Gyaltsab J and K-Drip J sometimes will even interpret things differently between the two of them, and that one of those things is apparently the idea of whether or not the memory of the coffee cup that you saw, right, is valid or not, right? Because the definition of an accurate perception, right, is fresh and unmistaken, right? So what does the malua mean, right? And the malua should be when they mean fresh, they're speaking about.
I guess that's Sardu. Right.
Sardu Malur. Yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah. Sardu Malur, Rikbat. Yeah. So I think that's why I was using Trong for subsequent. Now how that plays in, but it's obvious here that Geshe Ngame Sung Zin is talking about previous perceptions, right?
Yes.
And that's a giant, it's a giant topic. It turns into, it's heavily treated in different texts.
Right.
Is the idea of what makes something valid. What makes something accurate, right? And so because the thing here, and the interesting thing about it is if I have a pen in my hand, I'm not actually perceiving the pen in the moment. I have no access to a present pin. Like I have no access to a pin that currently exists. It's all, in the previous moment that now and this is also, you know what, hold on. I'm getting there's the gears are firing now. This is one of the reasons, for this exact reason, is one of the arguments that goes to support the existence of an aspect, right, of Nampa, because we've been talking about in this past class with Geshe Michael, we were looking at how objects, right? How does consciousness interact with physical objects, and how does the awareness interface with any physical object,
External
right?
thing, yeah.
And one of the solution to saying, because then you'd have to say that you're never having an accurate perception in a moment. You see, because you're always perceiving a pin of a latter second.
Mhm.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
When you're talking about the Nampa, you're talking about the representation of that external object inside your
Now,
mind.
but I'm actually, and maybe I'm missing something. I love that, Ben. But I'm arguing that is actually a solution to that problem, in meaning that having an intermediary aspect between your conception of a pen and the pen in my hand, which is somehow blending into the sky. But there's an intermediary aspect between your conception of the pen and the pen itself, and those can actually happen simultaneously. If you have an aspect, if remember, because we were talking about Sungnam and Zennam.
Well, the external thing is also sometimes called a Nampa, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
well, they both are, but okay. So
Right.
here and then, so yeah, I've spent like a month. Like, I spent so much
You
time.
you don't need a Nampa to go from the Nampa to the Nampa, I hope.
No. But that's why they were talking about Zaychik for so long, because they'd say that the subject and objective aspect of the Nampa
Yes.
are actually Zaychik.
Okay, that to be the external thing is to be the internal thing. To be the thing that exists externally is to be the thing that you see internally.
Sounds like a mind only.
Well, that's why, yeah, totally. That isn't
Right.
that, yeah. And that's why we've been leading into it. Like that's
And Sautrantika doesn't accept that anymore.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
And so then you get into this whole thing of like, okay, well, was Master Dharmakirti a Sautrantika or mind only guy? And then this right here, like essentially what we've talked about for the past 5 minutes is what created the whole Sautrantika Yogacara school, right?
Oh, interesting.
You see, because now you've got this aspect of reality, and I'm using the term specifically, this aspect of perception, which is in between conception. So wrong sins and cheat sins. You've got this thing that works in between them. And if you have an aspect, which is once again like a crystal, and then you hold a blue cloth underneath the crystal, the crystal takes on the aspect of the blue cloth, and that is a simultaneous occurrence. Those things are co-occurring, and if my hunch is correct, that's why we see the Ngama here, and that's why we saw the Trong earlier, and that's also why we see yeah, totally.
Well, may it be that Geshe Michael comes next time and clarifies it for us.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all that isn't going to be unpacked in the next class, but
we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
We should wrap it up though, because we're over time, and we gotta let everybody go. But thank you so much, and I'm sorry that I'm sorry for any miscommunication, but I'm just
For stepping up.
I started thinking to myself, I was like, my class was on the 5th of August, and so I just forgot that maybe I'd have to lead something about Geshe Michael. Look,
today was actually meant to be a not a team class, and it became a team class at the last minute. So I'm working hard to balance the schedule so everybody's getting more equal classes with Geshe, and you and I and others have had a lot more team classes lately, and so anyway,
fun.
we're
really-
devising a system that hopefully will work better. But this was great, and I had
Yeah.
fun, and I've been having a lot of fun in your classes, and
Sorry, man. I was flailing there a few times. But,
this was great. And I'm grateful to you for jumping in and not being intimidated.
we
And
got it. We got it.
cool. But I'm gonna leave it here and say good night and a good day, or to you, I say whichever it is. Good afternoon. And to everyone, I mean, that wasn't you, Adam. But
Yes.
what are you teaching now?
Yes, I am. We're almost done the golden key.
Thank you. Ward.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Dude,
Thank you.